Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad you've joined us for the Children's Rep Pick session this morning. And thank you to Blackstone Publishing for generously sponsoring all of our Rep Pick sessions for the Caliba Discovery Lab. We couldn't do it without them. We have a great lineup of reps this morning who will be highlighting some of their top titles that we should all know about. Each rep will have 10 minutes to present, and the lovely Kristen will be our timekeeper today. I'm really bad at it, so I'm glad she's doing that. And so we're going to start. I'm going to kick it over to Tom McIntyre to start the presentation. And let me see if I need to do some jigging here to make this happen. There we go.
There I am. Howdy, folks. I'm Tom McIntyre from Hachette Book Group, which for children basically means Little Brown for young readers, Running Press, Disney, and actually National Geographic. The final title today will be a National Geographic book. I'm going to start off with a book that published earlier this spring that's a personal favorite. It's Peter Brown with Fred Gets Dressed. Now, you may remember, he had a huge hit with two middle reader novels, the Wild Robot and The Wild Robot Escapes. But prior to that, he was really better known as a picture book author. The Curious Garden, of course, is the main one. This one here is a book that I personally love. It's all about non-traditional gender roles and self-expression. And as you can see in the beginning, Fred is a little boy living with his family, and he doesn't really like to wear clothing. But one day, Fred, with his parents having gone to the store around the corner, Fred decides that he wants to begin exploring the closets of his two parents. So he first goes into Dad's closet, and the clothes just don't fit him. And then he goes into Mom's closet, and he tries on her clothes, and he thinks they look a whole lot better. And then he even begins to decorate himself. There's a nice moment that was in the previous slide where you kind of see that the instant when the family's kind of looking at him, and sort of contemplating what to do or say next. And thankfully, the family joins in on the fun. It has a very affirming book, like I said, for non-traditional gender roles and self-expression. And it is also in the Caliba holiday catalog. Moving on. Next title is a winter book. For winter, for us, winter in this case means March 15th. It's been one of my most successful titles that I've been selling recently. It's called Night Owl by Christopher Denise. Now, you may recognize the style of these illustrations because Denise is also the person who illustrates the Brian Jakes book covers. This is ultimately a friendship book. It talks about the fear among some people of the nighttime, being alone in the dark. It's ultimately a book about bravery and friendship, where everyone in the kingdom is afraid of this dragon, and it turns out that the dragon actually is a little lonely too. So it ultimately ends up with them having a great time, and you can see these very cool kind of chiaroscuro illustrations here, and there's the dragon right there. It's a wonderful book. Moving on to the next title. This is another winter title coming out in April. Now, Simon Rich is an author we brought to this company some years ago on the adult side. He's almost like an heir apparent of David Sedaris, very funny and witty, writes a lot of essays for the New Yorker. This book is his very first attempt at anything in the children's market. I think it has a real fun, sly humor, kind of that ironic Sedaris-like humor, which makes it the kind of rare book that both kids and adults will enjoy. It's a reversal, actually, on the terror of bath time from the perspective of the bathtub itself. This kid basically creates a ruckus every single time has to go into the tub, and so you sort of see how the fixtures are traumatized by the kid, but ultimately it has a very friendly, happy ending to it. You can see the girl there with the reservations, and there you see the the happy ending. I think it's really great. So personal favorite of mine. Moving along here. Let's see. George Johnson, We Are Not Broken. This is nonfiction. It's a Kaliba holiday catalog title. It did just publish about a month ago. It is really about the story of 4 boys, including the author, who grew up with their grandmother. The grandmother they always refer to as Nanny, and the book is framed by these little nanny-isms, little sayings that she had that kind of basically helped them make it into adulthood in a very positive, constructive way. The author, by the way, is also non-binary, and so he shares that aspect of his story. And I would say it's a really good book for readers who enjoyed Stamped. Moving along here, just a quick aside, I just want to mention that the on sale date for this Rick Riordan book changed. It was originally supposed to come out, I think it was either the 5th or the 12th. My sense of time is getting a little fuzzy these days, but it is now coming out. And if you happen to get it a little early, for once, it's actually okay to put it out. But October 26th is the official on sale date for this book. It is a modern sort of homage to Jules Verne and the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with the protagonist being a surviving descendant of Captain Nemo. Next slide, please. This also is a winter title. I just wanted to mention that when we began the Rick Riordan Presents series, this was the very first book of the series, the Aru Shah books. This is book 5. There was a bit of a dip in sales with book 3, which came out right at the beginning of the pandemic, but book 4 definitely sold much better. So we're expecting a big climactic sales conclusion for book 5, the end of the series. There is also a buy 5, get 1 free offer that we are still making available to booksellers, and very excited about this one. Moving on, we've got Kelly McWilliams here. She is the daughter, by the way, of Jewel Parker Rhodes. This is her second novel, the first one being Agnes at the End of the World. She's a biracial author writing about biracial siblings. It's told from multiple perspectives, it has themes of colorism and racism. The thing I liked about this, though, overall, is just the writing style itself. It's something that works very well for young adult readers, and also I think crosses quite nicely into adult. And then finally, this is a personal favorite too. This book is really big. I'm going to actually hold up a copy at the same time that you see it on the screen. It's a big one. And it's got some beautiful illustrations inside. You can actually see a few of these on the slides, but it's from National Geographic. It's publishing next week. It's called Treasury of Magical Tales. Highly giftable collection, international folk and fairy tales. It is in the Kaliba holiday catalog. And I think that the premise of these stories, it's stories from all over the world. It's Donna Napoli is the author. And
I'm just giving you your 2-minute warning as you asked me to.
Okay, I'm nearly done.
All righty.
And Christina Ballot is the illustrator of this book. And it basically explores various stories from all over the world of transformation. It gets into sort of what I'd refer to as sort of the collective unconsciousness, where you can kind of see the connections despite, perhaps different kinds of looks and feels of different cultures. The themes basically are quite universal. So that's basically it. A big personal favorite of mine, and also in the Kaliba holiday catalog. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to Heidi Hill from Blue Dot Kids Press.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Okay, great. So my slides are up there. Thank you so much for joining us today amidst your definitely busy chaotic schedules, and I really appreciate the opportunity to present, and thanks to the team for hosting us. So I've met most of you either virtually or in person, but for those I've not met, I'm Heidi, publisher of Blue Dot Kids Press, and we're a small independent children's press with a big mission located in San Francisco, California. And personally, I grew up in Nevada City, California. I wanted to shout out to the team at the bookseller at my hometown bookstore. If you're on the call, hey all, good to see you. So we're distributed by Consortium and Ingram Brands. So you can always reach out to your California Consortium team, Ellen, Lise, and Mark. Please do the next slide. Our name, Blue Dot Kids Press, is a nod to Carl Sagan's famous ode to our home planet, the planet Earth, the pale blue dot, and a reminder to us all to preserve and care for our home. So we publish titles in two main themes. First, skills for global citizens, such as empathy and resilience and creativity. And the second focus area is nature and environment topics. Last but not least, we believe that Blue Dot Kids that business can be a force for good, not only in content, but also creation. So we use only responsible source paper, FSC certified paper, and we're also a proud member of 1% for the Planet and contribute 1% of annual sales to environmental justice causes. So that's a bit about us. Let me jump into our titles that we'd love you to hear about. On the next slide, probably skip 2. Yep, next slide is Little Bird's Day. We're really excited about this title. The stars are shining on Little Bird's Day. It was selected by Kirkus as one of the top 150 most anticipated books for the fall. This book is a calming, poetic, and powerful read aloud and a bedtime story, starting in the morning, ending in the evening, and it plays tribute to nature from an Indigenous artist duo. It's a joyful, universal story of the day in the life of a little bird who sings the world alive, flies with cloud, travels with wind, and nestles with moon, and dreams of flying among the stars. You could do the next 2 slides to show some of the internal images there. So Sally Morgan is one of Australia's best known Indigenous artists and writers. Her widely acclaimed autobiography, My Place, is one of Australia's most celebrated works. And Sally says of Little Bird's Day, I wrote this story to show children that birds are just like human beings with the same need for food, shelter, and care. So this is great for lists focused on birds, animals, science, nature, environment, biodiversity, earth, and human activity. And on to our next title, Goodbye Old House. This is, again, a joyful story. We like to focus on joy a lot, about moving house and embracing change from a much-loved, award-winning team. This is a heartwarming story of letting go and starting anew with a unique illustration style that allows room and space for the reader's imagination. So if you could show the next 2 slides, there's some internal images there. So children dealing with change is a universal topic, of course, this year especially. And this book balances the sadness and reluctance of leaving one place with the excitement and enthusiasm of discovering another. And as Hornbook says of this book, unlike most picture books about moving, this one has a distinctly upbeat vibe. So if pulling together children's book lists for parents or teachers, this can fit into social emotional learning, new experiences, self-reliance, resilience, and growth mindset as well. Up next are our nonfiction multilingual board book series for ages 0 to 5. Red Tricycle calls the books in this series one of the best children's books of 2021. This board book series encourages multilingual exploration and curiosity about our world among young readers. Each book promotes language learning through playful and sophisticated collages. Language is a powerful tool that binds us all together across cultures, and developing our skills beyond a single language helps us to learn how to problem solve and use our critical thinking skills. So these board books, if you could switch to the next slide, pair gorgeous collages of 18 types of animals or plants with the names across the 6 most widely spoken languages worldwide by total number of speakers. So if someone is learning a language, it's likely one of these languages. So these are very sturdy board books. They're filled with beautiful collages. They can work for different ages, including preschool, kindergarten, classrooms, and homes. They're great for homes trying to expose kids to both science and language learning. Great for teaching moments, lots of extension opportunities at home and in the classroom. There's 4 books in this series, Birds and Ocean Animals, and 2 more this fall, Plants and Animals. The title Animals is in the Kaliba holiday catalog, so look for that. And next slide, I wanted to also mention, since winter is coming, published this year, one of our most celebrated titles, Seeking an Aurora. If you're out looking for an aurora across the United States or Canada, this is the place to be. This is a book about that. It received 2-star reviews and has received glowing reviews in the Wall Street Journal and Brain Pickings. Brain Pickings says of Seeking an Aurora, a work of transcendence and tenderness. And Kirkus called it a magical experience. So as you can see with the slides here, this is a book about a child and father sharing an unforgettable moment with the majestic splendor of the aurora at night. This is perfect for those who love Al Moon, which is a book I've always cherished. And as winter approaches, we'll have lots of resources to go with the book, in-studio videos, night sky gazing guides to share. Again, this can fit with science, nature, environment, seasons, and using our senses for book lists. So on this next slide, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what's ahead. Spring is already on our mind, of course. So here's 4 titles coming out. I have the covers here, and then in the Edelweiss catalog, which I believe is in the chat, you can see all of the spreads, all of the beautiful spreads. So on the left first is I'll Take Care of You. This is a comforting and reassuring read aloud that cultivates empathy and kindness. It's about a tiny seed that finds itself lost in the world, but with the care of the sky, earth, and sun, it grows up to be a beautiful apple tree with warm, colorful illustrations and a timely message of care and community. I'll Take Care of You offers a soothing story for bedtime or anytime on tough days. Next is Bailey and Blanket, a read together story ideal for sparking discussions about growth and problem solving. It's a heartwarming story about the special relationship between a child and their best friend, a cozy soft blanket. Lyrical text and comically detailed illustrations tell an uplifting tale about resilience, ingenuity, and love. Next up is Just to See, the little girl looking up at the bird. Every day, perched high up on her treehouse, a girl surveys the distant forest through her binoculars. This is great for fans of Peter Brown and John Klassen. Folks will cherish this inspiring story about exploration, curiosity, and unexpected discoveries. And last is My Day in the Park, introducing young children to the names of everything in a city park. This is really a celebration of the importance of urban and city parks in our lives as well, for those of us who live in the city like San Francisco, where we have great parks. This is a time for an adventure. Join Sam and explore the Young Adventures City Park, from the bandstand to the greenhouse to the Great Lawn and the Animal Farm, packed full of details that will bring children back for multiple reads and new treasures. My Day in the Park is a perfect gift for young adventurers who love exploring and for all of us who love celebrating our city parks. Okay, so that's it for me. I wanted to mention we have great resources for parents and teachers, partner schools on our website. We also have virtual events bringing our authors and illustrators into your bookstore or partner classroom. And I hope you'll check out our Edelweiss catalog, where we have all of our spreads for our upcoming spring titles. You can always email me. There's my email there about partnership ideas. And thank you for the important work you do every day. Take care, and I'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much, Heidi. That was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. Okay, Andy from Abrams, you're up next, friend.
Thank you. That was just awesome, Heidi. That list is great. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. And good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We reps really depend on booksellers participating in rep picks, and thank you for doing so this morning. I'm going to start with Redemptor. This is the sequel to Raybearer, which came out last year in hardcover, won multiple awards and got fantastic reviews. This is the sequel and the conclusion to that story. It's also a Kaliba Golden Poppy nominee. Jordan Ifueko is a wonderful writer, so energetic and passionate about her books, a great promoter. We're really fortunate to have such a young, dynamic author on our list. We've also just signed up 2 new books from her, so we will continue to publish her. Raybearer is now out in paperback. Redemptor came out a couple of months ago. And if you have not read either one of these books, and actually any of the books on the list, please reach out to me at my email, which is aweiner@abramsbooks.com. Happy to send books along for people to read. Jordan she's a prize, so we're very excited to continue to publish her. We have the latest book in the I Am series from Susan Verde and Peter Reynolds. This has been just a great, important series for us, both in hardcover and board book format. I Am Courage is the response that Susan wrote to help kids get through the really difficult times that we're finding ourselves in. I know there are plenty of books out there like this, but there's a simplicity and a humanity to how Susan writes, and Peter's illustrations are wonderful. Very sort of gender non-specific, very multicultural. I think I Am Courage could end up being the best book in the series. Next is another really special and important book for us. This is Your Legacy by Shelley Williams, illustrated by Tanya Engel. Shelley Williams is a Broadway director, and she wrote this book about the history of Black people in America to help herself understand that history and the role of Black people in America. There's a video, and I put a link in the Edelweiss markup, where Shelley speaks about why she wrote this book, and she does a much better job than I possibly could. She writes about the challenges of slavery and the cruelty and damage done to Black people, and then transitions into a book about the wonderful accomplishments and importance of Black people in this country. The illustrations are fantastic. Just a great, great book. Next is Hunting by Stars. This is a Marrow Thieves novel. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Marrow Thieves, it was published by a small Canadian publisher, I think back in 2017. Didn't get great distribution in the US, but there are a lot of people who discovered the book and hand sold it, and it's a real favorite. We're really excited to have the follow-up series to Marrow Thieves. It actually continues that first book. And what she does in the beginning of the book is recaps what happened in the first book, so people don't need to read the first book. We're getting great reads from people like Emily at Pegasus Books here in Albany, where I live, where she just found it so exciting. Great reviews. If you haven't read Hunting by Stars, again, please let me know. Happy to send you a copy. Very exciting book. Next week, October 26th, is the on sale date for Wimpy Kid 16. Cheers to Jeff Kinney, who's been paying my salary for the last 15 years or so. Yay, Jeff. This is a book about sports. I won't say anything more about it. It's a huge book, as always. So please do look for that October 26th and put it in the hand of lots of kids who'll be excited. And more about Wimpy Kid in a couple of minutes. New book in the Hale's Hazardous Tales series. This is Cold War Correspondent. This is a book about the Korean War in this great graphic history series from Nathan Hale. We're so glad to have a new Hale's Hazardous every year. And advance attention for this book is really strong. I think it's going to do even better than Blades of Freedom from last year. Next is just a tremendous new book in the Questionnaire series from Andrea Beatty and David Roberts about Aaron Slater. Aaron is probably autistic, and he has trouble expressing himself with words. And when the time comes for him to make a presentation to his classmates, he does it through his art. I think it's the most beautiful of the Questionnaires books. I sent a PDF to several of my buyers who responded, "Thank you for making me cry." It is a book that really will touch your heart. The font for the book is Dyslexia, which is a font that's easier for children who are dyslexic or autistic to read. Just a wonderful, wonderful book. Piece by piece, in the markup, you can't see it. I added a lot of quotes this morning from booksellers from the New York Times. It's a graphic novel about racism in Portland. Really powerful, great illustrations. It's $12.99 trade paperback. And I think it's going to be a really important book this fall and into the future. Take a look at some of the great art, which is not popping up. There we go. really powerful book. We're very excited to be publishing this as well. Little Book of Joy is a book from Magic Hat, which is a publisher, a packager that we distribute. They're the packagers of maps and bees and all those wonderful oversized books. We do all of their books now. Little Book of Joy is just a really wonderful, positive book about the wonderful things in our lives. It's 1995, but their books are great value. This is 368 pages for 1995, fully illustrated. We're really happy to have their books. Diary of a Wimpy Kid special Disney Plus cover edition. In case you haven't heard, there is a Disney Plus animated version of Wimpy Kid coming December 3rd. In the markup is a link to the trailer. It's really fun, and we think it's going to be just a huge, huge year for Wimpy Kid. This is the cover with art from the show. Yay, Jeff Kinney again. We have a new book in the Block series. This is Sesame Street Counterblock, done in association with Sesame Street. The Block series has been just a huge success for years. Alpha Block, Counterblock, Dinoblock, Build a Block, Star Wars Block, all the Block books. Sesame Street has the potential to be the biggest book in the series. Wonderful illustrations and great information for kids. Lots of fun. So speaking of questionnaires, there's a new Netflix animated series of Ada Twist Scientist from the Obama's production company. The series is available now. There's a link in the markup where you can view a full episode on YouTube. So we're doing some tie-in books. This is Ada Twist Scientist Brainstorm book, which is an activity book, $12.99. Lots of fun activities. And then we have Ada Twist Scientist, the Y Files, which is sort of Ada's own personal science journal, showing how her mind works and how she does her scientific experiments. The show also includes Iggy and Rosie very prominently. So it's going to be great for the series, and we're going to continue to do tie-in books for the foreseeable future. We have another book coming next year. It's a drop-in. This is Ada Twist Scientist Show Me the Bunny, great Easter title, $10.99 hardcover, paper over boards. Really cute illustrations from the show. So that'll be a great drop-in. So get in touch with me or your Abrams Commission rep to place your order for that. Two books from the Hello Lucky team, our San Francisco sister packagers. We have My Grandpa is Grand. This is coming next year. And My Grandma is Great. These are follow-ups to My Dad is Amazing and My Mom is Magical, which have been huge, huge books for us, each selling over 500,000 copies. So we have one for Grandma and Grandpa next year. Pretty Perfect Kitty Corn is the follow-up to the best-selling Itty Bitty Kitty Corn.
Andy, I just want to let you know, Andy, you have 1 minute. I hate to interrupt Kitty Corn, but you got 1 minute.
That's great. Shannon Hill's the author. Luann Pham from San Francisco is the illustrator. This should be as good a seller as Itty Bitty Kitty Corn. I Love You Like Yellow is coming next year. This is a beautiful book illustrated by Vashti Harrison, written by our favorite Andrea Beatty. You can see the art is fantastic. It's a beautiful love story from a parent to a child, one of our favorites for next year. And finally, Black, The Many Wonders of My World is the new book from Nancy Johnson-James and Constance Moore, who did Brown for Cameron. And it was a real favorite of booksellers, celebrating being Black in America, beautiful art, great positivity. We loved Brown, and we're so excited to have a follow-up, Black, from Cameron. And that is it. Thank you guys so much. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. We appreciate you so much. And now I'm going to hand it over to Shannon Grant from Simon & Schuster.
Hi guys, it's so nice to virtually see everyone, and it's so nice to see everybody's lists. I miss seeing everything in the stores, so awesome list so far. First up, I'm going to start with, next slide, It Fell from the Sky by the Fan Brothers, and I kind of feel like all I need to say is the Fan Brothers, because they're beloved and they're amazing. They've done it again. It's stunning. It's a modern fable about the perils of greed. When a wonder falls from the sky, the garden insects set about figuring out what it is, until Mr. Spider decides that it's his because it fell down closest to his web and starts charging admission for the attraction. it just has gorgeous spread after spread and these beautiful black and white illustrations with this like perfect pop of color. Feels like a work of art. It's already received a starred SLJ and Booklist review. It's a Kaliba Holiday catalog title and an Indie Next pick. I do swoon over the fan brothers. And next up, I have Trees by Tony Johnstone, illustrated by Tiffany Bozak. This is coming in November 2nd. And we have such a monster list this fall that there's some quieter books. So this is my sleeper book on the list, I feel like, and it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful poetic celebration of the natural world. Each spread is a short verse with the art highlighting a specific type of tree. There is back matter at the back with a letter from both the author and illustrator, as well as the common and scientific name for each specimen of tree featured. And my biggest obsession about the book is all of the art from this book is done on tree bark, which I find amazing, and it's stunning. Bonus, Tony and Tiffany are both author and illustrator, are from California. I know, it's just so pretty. I love it more every time I see it. And next up, look at those pretty spreads, is Einstein, The Fantastic Journey of a Mouse Through Space and Time by Torben Coleman. These mice books are from North South, one of our distribution client publishers. And I have to say, I sold them when I was a bookseller, but selling this new one in now, I'm stunned by everybody's backlist sales on all of these. In this one, a mouse attempts to use Einstein's theories to travel back in time to a cheese fair that he missed a few days in the past, but finds himself in conversation with Einstein. All of these are indie hand sell favorites. They've received multiple starred reviews and they're great Steam picture book stories, not to mention this gorgeous detailed artwork. So I would say if these have fallen out of your backlist, pick them up. Yes, totally, publisher Rainbow Fish. And there's some praise about Einstein, and there's Edison, Armstrong, and Lindbergh. And then we can move on to Stunt Boy in the Meantime by Jason Reynolds, illustrated by Raoul III. This goes on sale November 30th. It's paper over board. I would say ages 7 and up. And Jason Reynolds just keeps proving that he can do anything. And this time he's teamed up with the brilliant and award-winning illustrator Raoul III. It's a hybrid format illustrated middle grade novel featuring Portico Reeves. He's our hero, Stunt Boy, who is basically a secret hero who keeps all of the other heroes safe and able to do their jobs. But Portico loves living in his apartment building, the Skylight Gardens, which boasts at least 100 windows and over 1 million steps and is full of interesting neighbors. But he does have his problems, a bully by the name of Herbert Singletary, his parents fighting, and his looming anxiety, which he calls the frets. It's action-packed, funny, and a thoughtful representation of an urban working class community and a sensitive boy. And I know, the art is so great in this. And next up, I have Once Upon a Camel. This is near and dear to my heart. I've loved Kathy Uphelt since The Underneath. She's a National Book Award finalist and a Newbery Honor winner. She's back with the story of a camel and a family of American kestrels set in the desert of West Texas in 1910. Look at these gorgeous art, interior art by Eric Roman, who's Caldecott winner. When a sandstorm comes out of nowhere and separates the baby kestrel chicks from their parents, Auntie Zeta comes to the rescue and strikes out on a journey with the chicks clinging to the top of her head to shelter from the storm. To keep them from arguing and calm their nerves, she tells them stories from her youth when she was a young racing camel owned by a Turkish pasha until she was gifted to the US Army with 8 other racing camels in 1857 and eventually ended up in Texas. Amazing. This is based on a true story. I love Zeta. Her voice is unique and wonderful. Her name is a nod to Scheherazade, who saved lives by telling stories. The starred book list review called it an unconventional ode to the beauty of found families and the power in our stories. I think this makes a perfect read aloud. Just love the art. And then Out of My Heart, you guys, everybody has been waiting for the continuation of Melody's story from Out of My Mind. We've sold millions, I know, yay! Millions of copies of Out of My Mind. It spent years on the New York Times bestseller list, and now she's back. Longing for some independence from her family and a break from her routines, Melody convinces her parents to send her to a summer camp for children with disabilities. 12-year-old Melody, who has cerebral palsy and gets around in a wheelchair and uses a device called the Medi Talker to communicate. Her voice is funny and wry as ever, and she finds herself immersed in new experiences: ziplining, horseback riding, a first crush. You find great joy in seeing her find a sense of community. The Kirkus Starred review says, a deeply satisfying and worthy continuation of a beloved story. I see what a great list this is. It's great. It was like picking children, trying to choose what to talk about today. Frankie and Bug, it's Gail Foreman. This is Gail's first middle grade novel, and she knocks it out of the park. About 10-year-old Bug, who is devastated when she learns her typical summer plans of Long Beach days with her older brother, Danny, are not happening because he needs some space, whatever that means. She will be instead spending it with her neighbor's 11-year-old nephew Frankie, who's visiting from Ohio. This is set in Venice Beach in 1987, which gives me so many flashbacks and memories. And it's a tender coming of age story of friendship, allyship, and families with just a hint of mystery. Night Stalker. And then, oh, here's some bookseller. Look at all the bookseller love for Frankie and Bug. Just love this book so much. And then I'm going to move on to some YA. So this is Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world, maybe one of my most requested galleys of the fall, by Benjamin Allier-Sands. It just went on sale last week. Okay, confession. I just read the first Aristotle and Dante recently. I know, bookseller fail, but I felt like Benjamin Allier-Sands held my heart in his hands the entire time I read it. I welled up. I couldn't put it down. It was amazing. And blissfully, Ari and Dante are back starting exactly where they left off. And now they will have to navigate their, I know, totally, Anne. They will have to navigate their new relationship set in Texas and El Paso in the late 80s against the backdrop of the AIDS crisis. And I'm just going to read you the Booklist Starred review, which sums it up perfectly. Sands himself is something of a cartographer, drawing an intricate map of the human heart. The result is a brilliant character-driven novel that challenges its readers to think about life while falling in love with those two unforgettable characters, Aristotle and Dante. So if you haven't done it, because yes, it totally sells itself, go back and read it. It's worth every single sentence. Moving on to Vesper Teen by Margaret Rogerson. It's the #1 November-December indie next pick. I'm so excited. This is set in a world where the dead do not stay dead. 17-year-old Artemisia, whose hands were badly burned when she was young, wants nothing more than to quietly study with the Grey sisters at the convent and learn to tend to the dead until possessed soldiers attacked. It's a masterful dark fantasy. And if you're already a Margaret Rogerson fan, you're in for a treat. And if you haven't read her, just start now and then go backwards. This is the start of a new series.
Shannon, you've got 1 minute.
Perfect. I have one last book.
Awesome.
Our next up is Our Violent, there's lots of love for Vesper Teen. And then Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong is on sale November 16th. It's the highly anticipated sequel to the New York Times bestseller, These Violent Delights, which was also an Indie Next Pick. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in glamorous 1920 Shanghai, complete with gangsters and monsters in the depths of the river. And totally not jealous that Chloe is about to release her second blockbuster novel, and she's just graduated college. She's lovely if you've never seen her in an event. And that is all I have. I'll flash a sneak peek at all the amazing things that are coming for spring. Perfectly Pegasus, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for listening.
Oh, thank you so much, Shannon. That was great. That was wonderful. So next up, we have our friend Holly Ruck from Macmillan.
Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. It's so great to be here with you. I want to say, first of all, thank you for all of your support of Macmillan's titles. We forever appreciate it. And I also want to thank you for bearing with us right now as we go through some rep and territory changes. I know it's challenging, and I appreciate your patience more than you can know. So with that, I'm going to present to you some of our winter 2022 titles. So first up is The Lost Dreamer by Liz Huerta. I'm so thrilled to kick things off with The Lost Dreamer, and look at that gorgeous jacket. This is our big YA fantasy for winter 2022, and it does not disappoint. In this debut novel, readers are introduced to a fantastical version of ancient Mesoamerica and a strong line of women who defiantly resist the patriarchy. It's told through the eyes of two teenagers named Indira and Saya, and this is a love letter to a past that has often been erased. One of the things that makes this so special is how the detailed, supernaturally charged setting really brings an ancient world to life in a way that mirrors the challenges of the 21st century. So readers will find something new, but it will also feel familiar to them. I think this is great for readers who love Tomi Adeyemi, Saba Tahir, or Firekeeper's Daughter, and they will find this every bit as exciting and satisfying as those novels. And as a bonus, the author lives in San Diego. Next up is I Am Golden by Eva Chen. I have to say that I'm a huge fan of Eva Chen. I find her books to be so fun, so inspiring, and with every new title, she's really growing as an author. I Am Golden is a new picture book from her that is a moving ode to the immigrant experience and a proud declaration of Chinese American joy. It inspires self-love and it validates children of Chinese descent. Additionally, it's an invitation to other children to celebrate a culture that is rich, vivid, and full of welcoming tradition. And one thing I really love about it is a picture book with back matter. I think it really expands the reader experience and audience. And I Am Golden has a nice amount of that. It includes a lovely author's note, family photos, and a list of resources for Asian American advocacy. Next up is Pilar Ramirez and the Escape from Zaffa by Julian Randall. This is a powerful fantasy debut that sucks you right in. Think the land of stories with Dominican myths, and it's for fans of both Tristan Strong and Stormrunner. Our main character, Pilar, is chatty, funny, and so incredibly smart. She literally falls into a magical filing cabinet and finds a world with shapeshifters, witches, and warriors. I like to think that it's a nod to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And while this book is so fun and fast-paced, it also gives readers room to talk and think about real-world issues like gentrification, immigration, and heritage. Middle grade readers are going to love this, but I also think it's a really good hand sell for high school teachers because it can hook in reluctant teen readers with its activist angle. Next is Cold by Mariko Tamaki. Some of you may know Mariko lives in Oakland, so she's a local author to California. She's an award-winning author who is moving in a new direction with a haunting YA. It's about a shocking murder in a quiet town and 4 students who knew too much and also said too little. This is a slow burn of a book. It's a literary thriller that's told from the point of view of 2 teen outcasts, Georgia and Todd. Georgia is the daughter of a beloved picture book author whose childhood has been immortalized in often very embarrassing ways. And Todd is a ghost. So if you see comps to the Lovely Bones running around out there for this book, that's why. It is sly and wry and devastating, and as the clues of the book unfurl, you'll discover it has a lot to say about the pressures of achieving in school and navigating the waters of social life, especially for queer teens. This is for readers of smart, winding reads that like a book that's underpinned by sharp social commentary. I read it and I found it haunted me long after the last page of the book. I would give this to fans of Sadie, The Dead in the Dark, and We Were Liars. Next up is Kick Push by Frank Morrison. This is from one of our distribution clients, Bloomsbury. Some of you may know picture book creator Frank Morrison. He's had a number of books on the Bloomsbury list, but this time he is making his author illustrator debut with his own story that is about being yourself and loving who you are. It is his passion as an author illustrator to show young Black boys that they can be themselves in many different ways. So Kick Push is a nod to his own life and his own boys who were into skateboarding instead of traditional sports. And in fact, one of them became a professional skater as he grew up. Both the story and the artwork zip and zoom and make readers feel as though they are also riding that skateboard. Frank works as a fine artist and is the award-winning illustrator of a number of books, including Respect, Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, for which he won the Coretta Scott King Illustrator Award. He also did Our Children Can Soar, which was the winner of an NAACP Image Award, and Jazzy Ms. Mazzetta, for which he won the Coretta Scott King John Steptoe New Talent Award. So it's incredibly exciting to see him making his debut as both the author and the illustrator. Also from Bloomsbury, we have Cameron Battle and the Hidden Kingdoms by Jamar J. Perry. This was inspired by West African and tribal mythology, and it's an adventurous fantasy for fans who really wish they could journey to Wakanda. It's set in the fantastical world of Chidani, and it's the story of young Cameron who one night opens a barrier between our world and Chidani. And spoiler alert, the barrier is in a book, which makes it even more perfect. When Cameron and his friends are transported to Chidani, they learn that the world is in danger and he's the only one who can save it. While Chidani isn't real, the words, gods, creatures, and legacies of West African and American slavery are. So the cultural elements that are built into this narrative, as well as the tradition of oral storytelling, make this book accessible for a variety of readers. Kids will go on an adventure, but they will also learn and come away with real questions about history. I think there's a lot here for both kids and teachers to use for classroom discussion, which gives the book an even broader angle. Next up is Anything But Me by Tobias Madden. This is from Page Street. I'm sorry, Anything But Fine. Anything But Fine is a YA coming of age story that's funny and sweet, but also does a great job tackling serious topics. Luca Mason has trained for years to be a ballerina, and one missed step on a staircase changes everything when he lands in a hospital with a plate in his foot. Without ballet, he doesn't know who he is anymore. He doesn't know what his future is. He doesn't know who his friends are. He doesn't know what he's committed to and what he loves. Luca's voice is real, it's dramatic and funny, but there's also sadness there too, because high school is hard and there's grief and loneliness that he has to learn how to handle without the cornerstone of ballet. When I read this, it gave me the same feeling as Perks of Being a Wallflower, that high school is hard, but when you find the right people, everything in your world starts to make sense. And finally, Float by Kate Marchant from our client Wattpad. I love a good summer read, and Float perfectly fits that bill. It's about a girl named Waverly, and her parents are in a divorce, and they battle over where she should spend the summer. And finally, it's decided that she will stay with her aunt in Florida. Being in Florida is great, but Waverly doesn't know how to swim, so that kind of cramps her style. So of course, cue the adorable boy next door to help her make friends, learn to swim, and find her true self. Float is sweet and charming, and it's also very clean, except for a little bit of teen drinking. So it lives in that space of YA books that are pure summer delight for a wide variety of ages. It can definitely skew down, but it can definitely skew up. The author, Kate Marchant, is a huge Wattpad star with over 120,000 followers. And as a bonus, she lives in Oakland. So that's it for Macmillan. I'm actually stopping just in time. Someone is starting to mow outside my window.
Thanks, Holly. You did great. That's perfect.
Thanks for your time and your support.
Thank you, Holly. Take care.
You too.
Okay, next up, there's Suzi. We have Suzi from Imprint Group West. Suzi, are you all set to go?
I think so. Looks
All
like
right.
the slideshow's up, so
All right.
let's get started.
Sounds good.
First book is from Candlewick, and I think you're all probably quite familiar with the Beatrice Prophecy. It came out about 2 weeks ago, and it's had 7-star reviews. It's been a New York Times bestseller, national indie bestseller, and Indie Next list pick. So thank you everyone so much for your support and for continuing to support this book in through the holidays. If you haven't had a chance to read it yet, please, please do. It is so magical and fun and wonderful. It has wonderful illustrations by Sophie Blackall and unforgettable characters, including a girl who has no memory, a monk who sees visions of the future, and the most lovable and unforgettable goat in the history of literature, I think. So definitely check this one out ASAP. Next book is Littlest Yak. This is from Peachtree Press. It got a star review from Kirkus and has been featured in several holiday catalogs as the cover. It will be a great pick for your winter displays or your holiday tables. In it, we've got Verde, an adorable little yak. You can see her in the middle right here. Next, Verde just wants to be big, as many children do. But as you can see in the rhyming text, I'm the yak at the back who is stuck in her smallness. I want to grow up and have greatness and tallness. With the hugest of hooves and humongous horns too, there isn't a thing that a big yak can't do. Next. And so Verde decides to start training to grow. She follows her growing up plan as best she can. Next, not focusing on just her body, but also on improving her mind, because adults, big yaks, have big things to think about and know. But ultimately, when danger threatens their group, they discover that Verde's small size is just what they need to save the day, and that it's not a bad thing to be a little yak. The art is very humorous. It's full of personality. You know Kate Hindley from picture books like The Same But Different Too, and The Night Who Said No. This is just such a whimsical book, and some of the books that I'm going to talk about next are on the heavier side, so enjoy this fun one while you can. Again, it's from Peachtree Press, and it's available now. Next. This is also from Peachtree Press, and it's A Shelter for Sadness by Anne Booth. You might recognize the illustrator, David Litchfield. He's very well known for The Bear and the Piano and its sequel, and also The Boy and the Giant. And this book has just the most gorgeous illustrations. So many of them would be beautiful posters on my wall. Well, if I had room. As you can see, my walls are a bit full. So this is a book about a child who has started building a shelter for their sadness. You can go to the next page. The sadness has come to live with me, and I am building it a shelter. It starts with the sadness sort of looming over the child, but as we go on to the next page, the child sort of starts to explore what sadness can look like. Sadness can be small, it can be large, it can be noisy, it can stand still or be quiet. It can be sort of any kind of shape or size or feeling. About this book is that it really sort of slows down, looks at sadness, and helps kids recognize that it looks different, and it doesn't just look different from person to person, but from day to day. And so how your sadness may be living with you is different from day to day. Like on this page, inside the shelter, sadness has a window, so sadness can look out on the world if it wants to. It can choose to participate or not. On the next page, it'll say like, sadness, I'm too busy to visit my sadness for a while. So sometimes sadness is with you, sometimes it's quiet and sort of gone away, but it's never completely missing. It's there in your shelter. So when you need those feelings, you have them. And I think it's just a beautiful message and a beautiful way to explore what can be a very complex and difficult emotion for small children. Okay, next. I'm not going to talk about this one too much because it comes out in January, but I did want to highlight it really quick. It's Love in the Library by Maggie Takuta Hall. author of Also an Octopus and The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea, and Squad. We love Maggie Takuta Hall. We all do. And this might be one of her most personal stories yet. In this picture book, she explores her grandmother and her grandfather and how they met in an internment camp at Minidoka during World War II. Her grandmother was working in the library, and this fellow George was sort of always there checking out books. And as they get to know each other, they fall in love. It's a very sweet, personal story, very important part of our history. And I know that you guys are going to love it. Next. Oh, and that one's coming from Candlewick. I almost forgot that important part. This next book is available now. Tiger, Burning Bright, an animal poem for each day of the year. Some of you might remember Sing a Song of Seasons from, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. It was a big book of nature poems, one for each day, and it sold phenomenally well. I know we had buckets of them at Hicklebee's, and people loved getting them for Christmas gifts, for different events, and it was wonderful. As you can see, this is a very big book, quite thick. It's a gorgeous, gifty book, great for those grandparents and parents who have children that are exceptional and special and need something advanced. As you can see from the spread, each page will have a couple of dates on it, and it will have, like, say this one, January 4th, a poem about a whale, January 5th, another poem about a whale. And then as you go through the book, each page explores different animals. We have pelicans, we have snakes, we have reptiles, each with a gorgeous illustration. And some of the many poets that are included in this book are William Blake, Christine Rossetti, Carl Sandburg, Grace Nichols, Matsuo Basho, Lewis Carroll, Emily Dickinson, Jack Prelutsky, and many, 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 many more. It's $40, but worth every penny. It's something that you can share with your child or just read yourself, just a one poem a day in the morning or in the evening. Just a wonderful experience. All right, next. Okay, moving on up to middle grade. Barefoot Dreams of Petra Luna is from Sourcebooks. It has 2-star reviews. It was an Indie Next list pick and an Indies introduced title. So it's a debut novel from Alda P. Dobbs, and you will want to keep your eye out for her because she is phenomenal. What is a barefoot dream? Petra's grandmother describes it as this: they're like us, barefoot peasants and Indios. They're not meant to go far. For a girl in 1913 living in Mexico during the revolution, there really isn't a lot of room for dreams. Petra's father was taken away by soldiers, and she's been left to fend for herself with her sister, her infant brother, and her aging grandmother. When their town is destroyed, they make the decision to escape to cross the border. It's a very long, harrowing journey through the desert. They run into Mexican revolutionaries. Again and again, Petra is faced with life-altering decisions that are much more difficult than you would expect for a 12-year-old. But she is able to keep her family together and safely travel, eventually reaching the US border. It's beautiful writing. It just sweeps you off your feet and brings you into the scene again and again and again. I just can't praise it enough. Like, as you know, during the pandemic, sometimes it's very hard to concentrate on a novel. But this one, I was sucked in and could not put it down. It is based on the author's great-grandmother's life, so it has also got some back matter that ties into her family biography. Okay, next. The Genius Under the Table, Growing Up Behind the Iron Curtain, from Candlelight Press by Eugene Yelchin. He had never really intended to write a biography, a memoir, but when he was doing a school visit, he was telling some stories from his childhood, and a little boy came up to him and said, "You need to write a book about this." And so he sort of thought about it for a while and said, you know what, I think he might be right. So The Genius Under the Table is just, I feel bad saying this because it was a very hard childhood in the Iron Curtain, but it's such a funny book and you are laughing so much as he's describing his mother's obsession with Baryshnikov, the great savior of Soviet arts, or his dad who loves poetry but will not speak about poets because it's too dangerous. They have a KGB spy living next door, so they have to be very cautious about everything they say.
Suzi, you have sorry to interrupt you, just have one more minute.
Okay, so I need to go fast. Gorgeous book, wonderful illustrations. Check it out. It will not take you long to read because there are lots and lots of pictures. Next. Okay, Kekla will be speaking at the children's author speed dating next week. Revolution in Our Time, amazing book, National Book Award finalist. You absolutely want to check this out. It's so interesting and fascinating. Next. Once Upon a Time There Was and Will Be So Much More is a picture book exploration of time. This might end up being my last book, so I'm going to go through it really quickly. As you can see, it starts with like millions of years ago and goes through time, thousands of years ago, thousands of years. And as the book goes closer and closer to our modern time, the pages shrink. So you can see they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you reach the present, the now at the center, and then start moving into the future. And again, the pages start expanding and getting bigger and bigger again. I'm doing such a poor job of this, but it's an amazing book. You definitely want to see it. And then if you can skip ahead to the end of my presentation, because I think I'm out of time. Escape room, really cool. It's an escape room in a book. You'll have so much fun with this one. I just want to show off my daughter. There she is. Happy Halloween, everybody.
That's great. Your finest work yet.
Thank you.
So cute.
Yeah, Suzi. Oh, that's exciting. Thank you so much. All right. Last but certainly not least is our friend Susan McConnell from Hi Susan from IPS, PGW, and Two Rivers. Take it away, Susan.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Hello, everybody. So I am representing England's distribution brands. That's PGW, IPS, and Two Rivers independent publisher clients. So your sales reps, of course, are Ty, Andrea, and Rob. And I will start off with Where Thuong Keeps Love. Thuong also means love in Vietnamese. This is published by West Margin Press, and the debut author is based in Los Angeles. The illustrator is based in Houston and has illustrated picture books published by Usborne and Charles Bridge. This is one of Kirkus Review's 150 most anticipated books for fall. It includes own voices and social emotional learning themes that not only include Vietnamese culture. Thuong's friends at school represent other cultures as well. It can be used with preschoolers to introduce vocabulary words for body parts. And there's great back matter with an accompanying song, full lesson plans, pronunciation guide, and audio guide if you wish to hear the book in Vietnamese. Next is Three Lines in a Circle. This is published by Flyaway Books. This is an oversized 11 by 9 inch book, but it would be a great gift for adults as well as children, especially for those that came of age in the 60s and 70s. I thought that the peace symbol was created locally, but no, it was designed in 1958 by London activist Gerald Holton, who was protesting nuclear weapons. This very simple symbol, 3 lines in a circle, has been used to inspire people at peace marches, liberation movements, the end of apartheid, and the fall of the Berlin Wall. There's an author's note with historical background and a timeline. The illustrations are so bright. Kirkus Reviews had this to say: vibrant throngs of all kinds of people fill the pages. Grounded in the discussion of a design, the heart of peace beats on. Next, we have Living with Viola. It's published simultaneously by Annick Press in both hardcover and paperback editions. Rosina Fung is a debut author and illustrator. This is both a middle grade book and a graphic novel, so check those 2 boxes. It's not a memoir, but Rosina includes some of her own experiences growing up in a multi-generational Chinese family and also being the new kids in school. This is an Own Voices title that includes age and identity and Chinese culture, intergenerational family, mental health, trials and tribulations in middle school, standing up for yourself, empathy for yourself and others. There are also intrusive ghosts and lots of sight gags. It's funny and charming. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure that other middle grade readers will too. Next, we have Anthony and the Gargoyle. This is our graphic novel pick, which is really a wordless picture book from Groundwood. It is an in-house fave and would be a great gift for Francophiles of any age. Author Joellen Bogart's The White Cat and the Monk, illustrated by Sydney Smith, who also illustrated Sidewalk Flowers, was a New York Times Best Illustrated Book, a USBBY Outstanding International Book, and has received 5-star reviews. Illustrator Maja Kostelek's A Boy in a House was a Kirkus Best Gorgeous book and was selected for the Bologna Illustrators Exhibition. Anthony has a favorite rock that he found on a family trip to Paris. One morning, he wakes up to find that it has cracked open. Eventually, he discovers a creature hiding in his closet and realizes that his new friend looks like a gargoyle in a family photo taken when the family was in Paris. He shows the picture to the baby gargoyle, who becomes very homesick. When the family has an opportunity to visit Paris again, Anthony hides the gargoyle, and together they wander Notre Dame Cathedral's tower, searching for the gargoyle that looks like him. This is a story of friendship and saying goodbye, as well as a wonderful tour of Paris landmarks. Next up is Storm of Echoes. I want to quickly mention that Storm of Echoes, book 4 of the Mirror Visitor Quartet, is available now. It shipped earlier this month, and we have already shipped almost 1,000 copies to Indian accounts. Thank you very much. This is the continuing story and final chapter of Ophelia and Thorne's journey that began with A Winter's Promise. You might want to stock up on all 4 books for the holidays. This YA title is published by Europa Editions at $20 in hardcover. The Words in My Hands is next. This YA Own Voices title is written by Asphyxia and published by Candlelight Press simultaneously in hardcover and paperback. It was first published in Australia as Future Girl. 16-year-old Piper is struggling to be normal, to pass his hearing, and to get a good job. But in a time of food scarcity, environmental collapse, and political corruption, she is just trying to survive. Deaf since she was 3, she has been told to adjust in a world that puts the hearing above everyone else. When she meets Marley, she learns that deafness is something to celebrate, and that hope is created by taking action, building a community, and believing in something better. The publisher calls this a visual extravaganza, and they are right. This is one of those books that you want to own and hold in your hand. It is written in the form of a journal and told using text, paint collage, and drawings that bring Piper's story to life. It's really inspirational. Next, we have the Britannica First Book of Y. This is published by Britannica Books, an imprint of What on Earth. It is lavishly illustrated with pictures and photos. It's the ultimate holiday gift for 4 to 8-year-olds. Over 100 questions with answers verified by the Britannica experts. It's great for STEAM learning. It features wacky facts and who knows, spotlighting mysteries that scientists are still exploring. So my wild card pick, we used to have wild card picks, is one of my favorites this fall, Moon Pops, published by Al Kids. This is based, This is based on the Korean folktale about the rabbit and the moon in the most imaginable way, with mixed media, 3D shoebox dioramas, and collage art. On a hot night, while the residents of one apartment building are trying to get sleep, the moon begins to melt. Granny hears it dripping and runs out to catch the moon drops in a bucket. Inspired, she turns them into popsicles, moon pops, to help her neighbors stay cool. But the fabled rabbits who live on the moon have lost their home. With the last of the moon drops, Granny grows a new moon from the potted plant in her window. Excuse me. As the moon ascends to the starry sky above, the rabbits return to their home. The Cricket Star Review called Moon Pops a sweet, icy treat that will warm your heart. The creator of this book, Nina Bach, is an Astrid Lindgren Memorial Award winner. She is from Seoul, South Korea, and studied animation at the California Institute for the Arts in Santa Clarita before moving back to Seoul. The translation from Korean is by Jeon Clark. Healing Breath, a guided meditation through nature for kids. Excuse me. Published by New World Library in Nevada, based in Nevada. Author William Meyer and illustrator Brittany Jacobs collaborated on Big Breath, a guided meditation for kids. It's a picture book for children ages preschool to 5, but there are adults out there, like myself, that have found this book to be very helpful. It's great for family sharing or for the classroom. Mindfulness and meditation practices are used as part of social emotional learning curriculum and helps behavior, focus, and sleep. And I just wanted to mention Red Comet Press. The publisher, Angus Yelchin, is a children's publishing veteran, most recently from Macmillan. He used his time during the COVID pandemic to fulfill his dream of creating his own publishing company. The launch list is strong and includes Robin Robin, based on the Netflix holiday special debuting Thanksgiving Day weekend, and The Secret of the Magic Pearl, which has already received many starred reviews. And that's it for me, and so good to see you all. I'm glad you could be here, and I'm wishing you a happy and healthy and successful holiday season.
Thank you so much, everybody. This has been great. This is day 2 of our Discovery Lab, and that's it for today. We have 2 more rounds of rep picks tomorrow. Just general rep picks. We're taking Friday and Saturday to get ready for our in-person party in San Francisco on Sunday. We do still have a few spaces left, both at our party in San Francisco and our party in Pasadena. So hope you can, if you haven't signed up, sign up now, because we'd really like to see everybody there. We have, and for all of you kids people too, know that Tuesday is our Kids Day at the Discovery Show, at the Discovery Lab. You can find out and sign up for all of these things on our website, caliboalliance.org. Also, remember to, we have a virtual exhibit hall and galley gallery going on too right now. So there are all kinds of books that you can request ARCs and see what's going on with some of the publishers, some of the special offers and extra author videos and that kind of thing that you can find in our virtual exhibit hall and galley gallery. And you can find that at caliba.annex.org. So check that out. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. This is a great thing. Have a great morning.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.